Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat, and here I'm today with the second one of my annual best of worst of videos. And this time I'm going to cover the worst in Toonami in 2023. Toonami had many highlights, as you saw in my first video, but they also had their share of lowlights. And that's something I want to talk about in today's video. So, again, I made a big list of the best things that happened to Toonami and the worst things to happen to Toonami, and I sorted them out. And here I am with the worst of list. So, without further ado, let's go into number 5. What was the fifth worst thing to happen in Toonami in 2023? Well, in my best of list, I mentioned how much I love Fooly Cooly Shoegaze. Now I'm going to talk about how much I hated Fooly Cooly Grunge. That was number 5. So, Fooly Cooly Grunge is a really weird anime. Not good weird like the original, or really the other sequels hit good weird better than this one. The animation is one thing a lot of people point out, and for good reason. It's janky. People talk about, oh, it's pseudo 3D. That's the problem. Kinda, but the real problem is it's so janky. Like, action scenes are passable. When nothing's happening, it's passable. But there's this weird, uncanny valley middle ground. And it's usually every time a character is like jogging or running that it looks like they're being controlled by marionettes. And Jeez, it just looks so weird. And also, the plot's really the plot is trying to be like this weird half-assed pulp fiction wannabe. The type of thing an aging man in his 50s that's going through his third divorce or something would think looked cool. But to the average person, it's just chronically lame. And like you have I could go into detail because a lot of things are just so done so poorly here. And like for example, there's one kind of decent arc, and that's Orinoco's arc. And fortunately, at least that's the one they end on. But it's something that probably would need episodes to develop. But they throw it all at you in like a 10-minute span. Like screw it, I'm gonna spoil. Basically, her mom died, but her mom's memories were uploaded in this robot that helps the father with stuff. She gets mad at her situation, breaks the robot, and it triggers this thing where she reveals that it's her mother, but she's in the robe. Imagine like imagine Al in Full Metal Alchemist, but super duper lame. That's what this reminds me of. And it's one of those things, if they really built out her arc, where you can see her frustration of her life building rather than just like a scene where you see where she's kind of struggling, and then her dad dies making the sword. It's so bad. It's so bad. But like it's the only one with potential because there's the sushi boy. His whole plot arc is that he gets erect whenever he sees Haruko in a dress. And then you have Rock Boy. His whole arc is that his brother's a raging alcoholic. And oh my god, it's just so frustratingly bad. And they even point out, they even make a joke about how they screwed up continuity at one point where it's like, wait, how we did this, Haruko's supposed to be two completely different places at the same time, and then like they make that into a joke. Also add in like the weird localizations in it. You know, localization, you can change some things and it's okay. But like the rule of thumb is it can't be so egregious that someone who never watched the original or know what the real line is would be able to call you out on it. You can call out half of Haruko's lines and be like, okay, that's not what she's saying into the Japanese version, now is it? But the whole thing was just a dumpster fire. And part of me wanted to rank it higher than fifth. I guess it's fifth only because it's 3 episodes long, so it was mercifully short. But I digress. There's 4 things I found were worse this year. Number four worst thing was just the large amount of long announcement delays. In particular, it was early this year when My Hero Academia needed a new show, and they kept kicking the can for a while with Marathon, doubling up episodes of other shows, which you can do pretty easily because you have One Piece and Naruto on the block where you can double up and no one's going to mind. In fact, considering how both of those at this point have, especially One Piece, have very, very slow paces, people would be thankful you aired 2 episodes instead of just one a week. But it was something that just kept going on and on. It wasn't just My Hero Academia. Almost you can say for every new show we got this year, leading up to the announcement of that show or between announcements shows, we just kept throwing in like all these different like marathons and stuff. And it took forever sometimes to get these announcements. It got a little better towards the end of the year, which is why it's only like number 4. And yeah, so not a long entry here, but on to number 3. What was the number 3 worst thing to happen in Toonami 2023? This is definitely the funniest thing to happen in Toonami in 2023. So, do you remember, because this is way back in January, do you remember when Toonami had like a fan art section? Yeah, it would be like, oh, we'll look at your fan art and put it up, and we will like put it up during a commercial break, and people loved it. But it only happened twice. So why did it happen only twice? Well, the second time, someone put up a BBW art of Nami from One Piece. And right off the bat, if you know what BBW is, you think, oh, that's weird. It's like, well, here's the thing. That wasn't controversy in it. Controversy, in fact, was stolen. Someone stole someone's like deviant art picture of Nami, put it up. It was like, it's mine. It's this is inflation stuff. And like, it's so funny. To the point where Jason DeMarco had to go out of his way and say, look. The problem here isn't the inflation, it's the fact that it was stolen. I still laugh thinking about it. And some people might put that number 1, but it's so absurd. It's so hilarious. It's so astounding. It's something I would come up as a dumb controversy. And I shouldn't judge. I have a DeviantArt page too. I make DeviantArt stuff. I make inflation DeviantArt stuff. Sue me. So I can't judge at all. I actually think it's pretty cool. You know, it's pretty cool to get your inflation, get your fetish stuff, and get it put on national television. I unironically think that's funny and amazing. And whoever originally made it's a king, not the person who stole it and threw it up as their own, but that's king shit. And I fully appreciate that. And that guy is a gentleman and a scholar, and I think he's an absolute legend, and I thank you, good sir. That being said, let's go into the number 2 worst thing to happen in Toonami in 2023. And this might be a little more personal. I think a lot of people would agree with me on this. There were 2 shows that, at different points in this year, people thought were a lock to be on Toonami. One was another season of a very popular IP, and another one, actually, you could say another one is the same exact thing, but it's a show that was an Adult Swim action staple. I believe aired on Toonami early in the Adult Swim days. I'm not 1,000% sure on this, but it's something everyone thought was a lock. And the 2 shows I'm referring to here are Gundam Witch and the new season of Bleach. Now, Gundam Witch is, I think, at least for a while, it was one of the more popular Gundams in a way. I know Gundam's a big name. They have like a billion different shows spun off of it. And I know, because I reviewed waifus from a couple of the Gundams that have aired in the past. But this one had its own audience, and a lot of people thought, hey, it's gonna do great on Toonami, just put it on Toonami. And everyone thought it was a lock. People who liked it thought it was a lock. People who didn't like it were dreading it, but they also thought it was a lock. But we never got it. And a lot of people thought it was kinda weird. And one, I thought Gundam Witch was more likely than not. I never said it was a lock, but I thought Gundam was probably going to happen, especially because we had multiple other Gundams. Like, no, not recently, but like a few years ago, we had Gundam Unicorn on the block. So I thought it was probably going to happen, but it wasn't in the cards. And Bleach astounded me. I thought, like, look, it's Bleach. We got Inuyasha's 2-season spinoff. We're definitely getting Bleach's season comeback, but we didn't get it, so I don't know. It's not much more to say other than I'm kind of surprised. I know a lot of people were fully expecting it and were a bit disappointed Toonami didn't get them, but hey, what the heck. So before I go into the number 1 worst thing to happen in Toonami in 2023, or didn't happen on Toonami 2023, wink, 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 I'm going to go over, I actually only have exactly 1 honorable mention. I already mentioned this with the long delays before. Yeah, we had a lot of marathons this year. Go back and look at the schedule for this year. We had a lot of marathons, and it's mostly to cover up the fact that we couldn't afford new shows, or we had NDAs, and that we couldn't quite buy the ink on the paper fast enough. So we got delays, and we had to patch them up with marathon. Not egregious to the point where we had like remember back, it was like 2021, whenever Blade Runner Black Lotus aired, we had a marathon like every other week. So I think the first episode of Blade Runner Black Lotus aired like a total of like unironically like 8 or 9 times on Toonami, which is impressive enough for a show, any show on Toonami. Definitely impressive for a show that would less than a year later get written off by Warner Brothers Discovery. So it's not to that point. That's why it's not even on the top five. Plus, you could basically bundle it in with number four. Now let's go to number one. I think I've already made this a number one, like in 2020 or something. But where the hell's Uzumaki? I'm serious. We got more info about Uzumaki this year. We got information. We got that little 2 minute tidbit, which I'm presuming is the first 2 minutes of the anime. I know it's a very intricate animation process, especially with this. And what we've seen of the trailers, of the teasers, looks absolutely beautiful and amazing. But the question is, a year or two, like the first year or two, especially with COVID happening and again, people taking it seriously, you can definitely make the argument you push it back. It's been 4 years. It's been 4 years at this point. If a woman got pregnant the day that Uzumaki got announced, he's looking into preschools right now for that Uzumaki baby, that Junji Ito baby right there, you know? And, I mean, it's comical to this point. Like, again, we got more information. We got that little 2 minute trailer that aired during Anime Expo or Adult Swim Fest or something like that. And I've been told there's some people who claim that they've seen the first episode. It's 4 episodes long, so it's not like a full-on length season. It's literally meant to be a faithful anime adaptation of the Junji Ito manga of Uzumaki, which I'm still looking forward to. But again, it gets to the point where the hype is dying down. When it airs, it's gonna just air. I can't imagine there being much fanfare for Uzumaki anymore. A couple of years ago, definitely, because Uzumaki, when it was first announced, definitely made its way outside the Toonami sphere of things to the general anime base, and even to outside that. A lot of people seem genuinely excited in this, and that hype is dying off fast and hard to the point where Toonami can just throw it on next week, and it's no one's gonna really turn an eye to it. And you can't really necessarily blame Toonami. Again, it's a very hard thing to animate because I think the producer came out like multiple times and said, "Yes, I understand you're a bit frustrated, but the animation process is taking longer than expected, and we apologize." And he's been very classy about this. I think he's a stand up guy from what I can tell. Definitely watching him in his interviews about it. So I'm not blaming him. I'm not blaming the animators, and I'm not even going to blame Toonami for this. It's just something I'm frustrated with, and a lot of people end up being frustrated with. It's just a no-win situation at the moment, which hopefully we get it in 2024. Everything is pointing towards it airing in 2024. But I said that last year at this point about 2023. So who knows? I hope for the best, and let's hope we get Uzumaki this year. I'm definitely gonna watch it when it airs, undeniably. I've been on this train for too damn long not to stick it through to the end here. So what do you guys think? What were your best, what were your least favorite moments in Tommy this year? Did you think that Nami inflation stuff is pretty damn funny too? Leave your comments, leave your opinions down below. I'm Super Orange Cat, and that is all.